Hello. Let me check the webcam. Yeah, this is the Logitech. It's perfect. There you go. Right. Hello, Lucas. Hello, Ernestus.
Hello, hi.
Eduardo?
Yeah.
I have a quick question regarding our stuff before everyone comes back. I'm guessing like when it comes to state management, we're all going to do that within React, or are we going to use external libraries to do state?
We are going to use only the props in React, but I will mention in an additional lecture about, for example, recoil. That is, it has the promise to become the de facto way to handle the state in React, because Redux, as you probably know if you know about React, is quite cumbersome and quite complex to handle. But recoil is developed as an open source project between Facebook employees. It's not part of, it's not officially part of the React project, but because it has the backing from the React developer community and it's built by Facebook developers, is something like it's extra official. And I really believe that in less than 2 years it will become the de facto way to handle the state, especially because if you know the concepts about React hooks, we have 2 minutes until it's 1 o'clock. Okay, so we can speak about a little bit about React off topic. If you know about the concept about React hooks, recoil use the same methodology, so it actually aligns itself quite nicely with the modern way of using React, that is moving from class-based components to functional components and high order functions. So I have used recoil for a couple of months since it was well, it's still alpha, I think. And to be honest, it doesn't feel like it's an extra library. It feels like it was developed by Facebook themselves, because it was developed by Facebook employees. And I don't mean ex-employees, not active employees. So basically, the guy in the same build, build an additional library. So I think it's going to become official quite soon.
Cool. Okay, so if we have our own extra time, it would be worth investing into. You would recommend us invest into that if we have the time, obviously.
If you don't know Redux at all, Unfortunately, you probably need to learn a little bit in case of a company knows that asks for that. Yeah, if you already know Redux, then I would say definitely go learn Recall on top of that, because there is a strong chance that it will become the de facto standard.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Oh, welcome, Elena. So we start one sharp. Remember that we have the recordings, so there is no problem with starting at 1 sharp. So you can have time to finish the homework of the CV. Perfect. So let's get started. Let me share desktop number 2 once again. Delete this one. We are in point number 7 out of 9, styling elements. So now we are going to start about making the stuff pretty on the screen. We just learned how to respond to the screen size. We thought we quickly saw about how to position elements on the screen, but now we are going to start adding a bunch of color and design choices. Before we start, everybody is starting about color, so let's be everybody on the same page. There is multiple ways to handle color in CSS, but these one are the 3 most common ways. So number 1, by using hexadecimal values. This is a classical and the most used way to define color in CSS. What is this? 6 letters right after the word color is hexadecimal color. Is a hexadecimal notation. It means that you write from 0 to 16. Don't worry, I will not make you learn about hexadecimal notation because actually nobody in the CSS community tries to invent colors or write hexadecimal by memorization. What you usually do is the following thing. Let me open a graphic design program, like for example, a Sketch. Like we move into your window and you write. And for example, let's see this project. You probably realize which one is this one in particular. So we have this project file. I choose a color from this one. Don't worry, I am not teaching about this one, and you don't need to remember, learn about to use this program. But what I'm just trying to say is that if I pick a color here, it's the same color of the PowerPoint slides. You can see a color here, a hexadecimal color here. And if I create another box and I change the color, for example, it will become of something purple, light purple, and more purple, something like that. There you go. And I click it, I see a different code. So this is the hexadecimal code that you see on that you see here. And this is the most common way that you will receive the information. So when they send you a file and then tell you, I need this button to become blue, you will not see color 2 points blue. You will gonna see color 2 points, hashtag, and a bunch of letters from letters and numbers from 0 to 9 and from F to F. So again, you don't need to learn hexadecimal notation. You only need to know that you need to copy this value and paste it on your CSS file, and voila, that's it. Now let's go for the second way. This is a more modern way, but I still haven't replaced the traditional way. This one is by using RGB or RGBA values. I'm going to explain the difference in a moment. So in this way, you can see, and if you remember about Java and JavaScript, you can see that RGBA opens a parenthesis. So this means this is a function. Oh yeah, you have a function inside your CSS property. In this case, you're telling, and you can see the small labels on the screen, you are passing 4 parameters to arguments, sorry, to this function. The first parameter is obligatory, is the red color, and goes from 0 to to 255. The second one is the green color and goes again from 0 to 255. The third option is the blue one. It goes again from 0 to 55. And the fourth option is transparency. And this goes from 0, and using decimal values, you can go from 0 to 1. So 1 is 100%, 0.5 is 50%, 0.1 will be in 10%, and so on and so forth. This is the newest way, and it has a pro and one con against the classical way. The pro is that you can actually send the transparency value right inside the one line of code. So you can see, you can send the red information, the green information, the blue information, and also the transparency in this one. If you use the classical hexadecimal way, you need to add a second property below color called opacity and send a value from 0 to 1 again to define the transparency. In this one, you can do it in one line of code. The reason that this one didn't catch on and is done the de facto standard is that if I go to Visual Studio Code and I put my code editor on the right and my graphic design software on the left, let me do one simple example. I will not show the screen, as just you can see it super quick. If I change the color of this paragraph, background color, remember to make the colors with hexadecimal, you use the hashtag and I paste the color. And let me show you the results on the screen. Let me open this document, Flexbox. There you go. You can see that let me change the color of this one. Display background color gray, just to make it easy to see. So if you can see it, I just changed the color of the paragraph by using the hexadecimal mode. The problem with this one and the problem with the RGB one is that it's quite slow to copy and paste. Why I say that? Simple. If I want to use RGB values, cancel, 1 second. Done. If I want to use the hexadecimal values, you can see that I need to copy this one, and then I will change it RGBA. I need to copy one value, put a comma, go back to my graphic design software again, select the box once again, copy the second value, go back to my program, paste it, put a comma, go back to my program, choose the color once again, and choose the blue color here. And then put a 1 or 0 if I want transparency. And this achieves the very same effect. You can see that nothing changed. It's not that nothing changed, it's just I use the same color. As you can see, the hex method is way faster. So that's why we don't use the RGB so much. It doesn't mean that it's a wrong way. It actually has an advantage. Let me show you the alpha channel right now. The advantage of doing the alpha channel. You can make the transparency. If I want to do that with the hex line, I will need to use, let me go with the hex. I will write something quick, just red. I will make it red. If I want to do transparency, I cannot do it using hex. I need to go to another property called opacity and put 0.5 to make it. So this takes more lines of code. You need 2 lines of code instead of just 1. But as you saw, copying the values are so slow that's the reason that people don't use it that much. And the third one, and this is the one that we were using all this time along. Sorry, this one is actually badly written. Just give me 1 second to fix it. Color. Paste it. So the third one is the one that we were using. That is just writing a color name. CSS comes with a couple of colors, idea for quick experiments, but not for real projects. And why I say not for real projects, because you're probably going to work for a company, either the company that develops the software for themselves or for other clients. Any self-respecting company already has a brand Bible or a design documentation. So for example, if you go to Visa and they have a, or MasterCard, sorry, and they see, you see that they have a yellow and a red logotype. It's not any yellow, it's not any red, it's a specific shade of red and a specific shade of yellow. So you're gonna get a color in either hex value or in a RGB value. So you just use this one when you just want to do quick experiments. That's like the ones that we are doing all the time here in the SDA. But for a real project, you either receive a color value from a graphic designer, or you are the graphic designer of the team, and you choose a color using a more advanced software like Sketch or Figma or whatever, Photoshop, Illustrator, etc. And then just take the value from there and put it in your CSS file. So any questions before we move to another topic related to styling?
No, all good. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Now let's go to the most common styling rules for CSS. Number one, background color. What is background color? In the morning, we saw the example. Let me see if I have this one. Yeah, my piece of paper. Remember this example where we explained that each tag has a box behind that, right now painted in blue. So background color is a property that we just been using all the time during these days. Allows you to change the color of the box behind the tag. It doesn't matter if this is a container tag like a div, a section, an article, or a content tag like a heading or a paragraph. Now the second one is background image. CSS allows you to use a picture instead of a solid color to define an image. And we're going to see examples of everything here, don't worry. So yes, you can define an image as a background for the text, for any container that you want to use. Another property is the border radius. This allows you to add a curve in each corner of the box of your HTML tag, so it looks more friendly. The next one, I think we used this one a couple of hours ago. The border property, it allows you to paint a border inside this one. So for example, I will use an analogy. It allows you to add a border inside the box. And maybe if the resolution of the webcam is good enough, I just draw a black border around the box. So this is the border property in a nutshell. And finally, box shadow, as the name says, it throws a shadow behind the box around that the HTML tag has. So let's see this one in action real quickly. Let me open a new example. I can keep the flexible with this one. I will create a new one called general style rules .html. In this one, we're gonna use the shortcut due to time, and this will be called general CSS rules, styling rules. Styling rules. Yes, of course, it's related to CSS. So I will copy this title. So you can have the file at the end of the lecture, these particular files, H1. So you can see a title on the screen. Let me put it in the Visual Studio Code. Perfect. We'll start from a blank file. And we're going to create, again, the classical div. And we're going to put a title as well. I will answer the question, whatever is writing right now, in a second. So this is my subtitle. And this is my paragraph 1. And I will copy these ones because it's only for example. And I will also add a span just so we can see the difference and everything. Hello. So perfect. Now let's add all the properties that we just mentioned. I have it in the second monitor so I can remember which ones were. So we are gonna add the rule div. First, we're gonna do a background color. Background color. And let's do a green, a red again. Perfect. Now, the second one was background image. We're going to see that one at the end because I just want to see the other ones first. The third one that we just saw was the border radius. So how to do a border radius? And what is this? Let me show you right now. Border radius. And I define a size in pixels. So for example, I will put 16 pixels. And you can see that we added a border. We rounded the corners of our box. I will put it 8 so it's easier to see. So you can see the border radius. If you feel that it looks the text looks weird being so close to the border, remember you can use a little bit of padding in general. If you don't put padding top, it will go to all the sides at the same time. I will put 8 pixels. And there you go. It's a little bit more in the center. Now, let me put these ones here. So, because we're going to focus on these ones. Let me put, okay. So we have the background color, the border radius. Now let's add a border. Border. And border takes 3 properties. Let me show. Let me write it here. Takes 3 properties. Type of line, comma, border solid, the width, width of the line, and color. I will put this as a comment so you can have it as well. Oh, it will become the entire line is commented, but don't worry, I can fix it. So remember, takes 3 properties. The time of line, it can be either solid or dash, and we're going to see each option. The width, for example, 4 pixels. Let me make it even dark, bigger, so on purpose, so you can see the difference. Perfect. And then the color itself. So, for example, I want to make the color blue. There you go. Instead of solid, I can make a dot line. So you have these small cubes. I can make a dash. There you go. And there is other combinations that you can research in the DoubleTree reference that it has. I have in the spreadsheet. So I will put it as solid. Perfect. And now let me try the box shadow. Box shadow. And this one, I think it takes 5 properties. Let me see if I remember which ones were. I will put 20 pixels. I will explain which ones means in a second. Just give me 10 pixels. I think it's 5 pixels, 5 pixels, and then a color. I will make a color RGBA. The reason I'm using the RGBA in the box shadow is because if I want to use I cannot use transparency in using hex. And if you want to use the opacity property, it will make the entire deep transparent instead of only the shadows. So if you want to use semi-transparent shadows, only you can do it with the RGBA mode. So in this case, I will want to make a semi-transparent black. So I will put 0, 0, 0, and 0.5.
Sorry, you can't make a transparency with the hex codes even on another line?
Yeah, you cannot do it. And I will do it right now just to show you what will happen if you try to do that. If I use hex, hashtag 0000000, this is black, and it's solid. And if I want to use opacity, look what happens. The entire block becomes semi-transparent. Yeah. You cannot target the box shadow because this one targets the entire box.
How old is RGBA?
No, it's super common. So yeah, you can use it more than 3 years ago. Yeah. No.
Okay. It's just like how would people have handled this prior to RGBA?
Yeah, no, don't worry. It's super common right now. As I told you, the only reason that it never became the de facto standard is because, ironically, because this is irony, there is no other way to explain it. The programs that you use to make graphical user interfaces has a really bad user interface to pick the RGB values. There is no way to copy the three boxes at the same time.
Okay, I see.
So in this case, you can only do it with with RGB. And now let's see what which values were these ones. Let me explain it, these ones. The first one is the horizontal axis. So for example, if I put let me make this window a little bit smaller on purpose so you can see a little bit easier. I will put 400 pixels. Okay. So the first value I think is the horizontal value axis. If I put 50, yeah, it goes to the right. I think that you can use negative values. There you go. So 0 means that the shadow is right behind without any movement on the x-axis. Positive values go to the right. Negative values go to the left. So the first value is left. I mean, let me write here in the box shadow. Box shadow. First value, left, right. Second one is up, down. I will write these comments actually a little bit better when we finish the class. So and let me. So the second one is the vertical value. Again, negative values move the shadow around. And this one, I think one is the spread. And let me see the difference. And let me use a high value on purpose, 25. Okay, what this third value does is how diffuse is the shadow. As you can see, if I put 0, the shadow is solid. Imagine that you are in the 12 in the midday, and the shadow is quite strong because the sun is super strong, and this shadow is a little bit more diffuse. You can see that it's more diffuse. And the final value, if I remember correctly, okay, and the final one is the spread. It's basically how close is the element. If we're talking about the third dimension, let me see how to make an example. Give me just one example. Just 1 second. You can see my webcam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine that this marker is casting a shadow. I know that you will not be able to see in the webcam due to the raw resolution, but you know in the real world, if you see a shadow and then you move forward or backwards, the shadow will become bigger or smaller, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, that's what the last value spread is trying to simulate. It's trying to fake 3D inside a two-dimensional world. It's not a true 3D shadow. There is no 3D in normal CSS. I think there is a couple of properties that actually allows you to fake it, but this is just a simulation. So it's kind of hard to do something advanced, but in case that you want to know, you can do that here with the fourth value.
You can think about it like moving closer or further away from the light source.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, oh, thank you. That was a nice explanation. There you go. Perfect. And now let me try. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously the shadow bleeds like outside of the margin even. So if you have like another element next to that, will that go underneath the other element or will it go over? Because I noticed that when
let's go. Let's see that. Good question. Let me do it right now. And this is a other div. And let me use another tag because I'm using the div tag. So let me create a section in this one. And yeah, there you go. As you can see, the shadow goes behind the box.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep. Good question, by the way. Now we're starting to talk about this. I didn't want to go into the rabbit hole because trust me, if we go to every single CSS property, we are not gonna end. Never. But if I put this one and I want to make it go below, there is one property called zeta index. And if I put a value like -1, well, let me see if, or I think I needed to put a positive value in this one. Let me see. No, this one should be actually behind. And this one must go, oh, I think this one doesn't work with the zeta index. Okay, no, this doesn't work, but the zeta index allows you to put some elements on top of behind the elements, but looks like the shadow is a different kind of piece, so it will not work. So yeah, never mind about that one.
But you can use that to stack elements.
Yeah, you can use that for stacking elements, but looks like that the shadow is a totally different beast, and it doesn't work.
That makes sense. That's
And
it.
okay, I saw a question about the meta tag. Okay, the meta tag is in the documentation that I sent you. You can read more about that. But for example, this one allows you to define characters. For example, if you want to use the tilde or the special characters, this one will tell the browser that you're gonna use default this kind of characters. It's a common place to always put it. It's not necessarily, if you know that you are gonna write in English, you can, and you only wanna display content in English, you can avoid it. But because you never know, especially in the social media era where the users create the content, it's a good practice to put this one because you never know when somebody come and try to write something in Spanish with a tilde and it will look weird. And this one, well, this one is this one was a tag that allowed to activate the media queries in a web page, the media queries that we saw a couple of hours ago. But modern browsers don't need the tag anymore. You can actually skip the tag just as we were using it. We were making examples without this tag at all, and you saw that the media query worked. But around 7 years ago, if you didn't use this one, it happened the same problem that the link tag has. Remember that if you don't type the word real equal style sheets, it doesn't work. Well, 7 years ago, if you didn't put this meta tag, your media queries didn't work. But modern browsers understand that the media queries are so common that you should not tell the browser, hey, this page has media queries, be ready. The browser expects that every single web page that you use right now has media queries. So this tag becomes legacy. If you want to use it, of course, use it. Don't feel bad. To be honest, let me just code 1 second. To be honest, I really never write my HTML like by hand like that. Everybody starts by a template, and because the template has this one, basically everybody uses this one. But feel free to use it and remember why it is necessary. This one for multiple languages. Yeah, this probably is a really good idea to have it. And this one is redundant, is obsolete, but if your template put it, don't delete it, keep it that way. But that's the reason I didn't want to explain it, because you can actually omit it and keep working without any issues. So, okay, let's continue with the properties. We were about to change the, yeah, go ahead.
On the meta tag with UTF and you're having multiple languages, if all of the stuff that you're putting into, like all of like the copy and content that you're putting into your HTML file is in one language, where are they handling the translation? Where are they handling the display in all other languages? What's handling that?
Good question, and the answer is quite simple. Remember, HTML only takes care of bringing the raw information that is in the server. In the server, there is no information for the manual translation files for there is no paragraph in different languages. Then probably the content is being translated in real time using some logic. For example, Facebook has a button to translate the comments. That means that it's running a function, and the function is taking the text and running some kind of server function that runs a similar command like the Google Translate thingy.
Okay.
So yeah, remember, HTML is only for the raw information. If you want to translate dynamically like Facebook does, there is probably code behind that to implement that functionality.
Okay, so you're saying that a lot of places will just have the same information in lots of different languages, and depending on what information is being received from the person's browsing will indicate which language is going to be displayed, which version.
No, not at all. For example, even if, for example, it's here it says the language is in English. If I switch it to Spanish, it's still in English. This only tells the browser, hey, the content that is going to be below here it's gonna be in Spanish. That's it. It's only information. If you want to translate this page, you really need to. Let me use Spanish here. Reglas.
So there aren't like multiple versions of the same pages existing in different languages, or there are?
Yeah. So there is many ways to handle translations. You can actually store in a database. You can store the information in different languages. You can use JavaScript to run some kind of function that translates it in real time. And to be honest, it's not that JavaScript is intelligent enough to know how to translate languages. It's that somebody code a library that handles the translation by themselves.
Okay.
There is multiple ways. I think that I will add there is an optional topic about this particular topic in the second project that we're going to run, because one requirement is an optional requirement is to translate the project, and then you will be able to research how to solve this problem in particular.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, so without further delay, let's try to let me copy this one. Let me add the background image. First, let me get an image real quick. Let me see where's my image. Just give me 1 second. Perfect. I will put this one in the code samples. Perfect. And let me rename this file to 1 second. EMG. And this one will be Catalina. Perfect. I just copied behind the scenes. I just copied an image real quickly so we can have it in the project. So nothing shady about that. I literally just created an image folder and I put an image here. So we're gonna do background, but this time we're gonna use the background property, and we're gonna use a new function, URL, and we're gonna pass. You can see that we lose the color because this one is overriding this one over here, and we pass a string because the file is in here. We put the dot notation, image folder, Catalina PNG, and there you go. The image is here. But Eduardo, I don't see the mountain. I see a blue thingy. That's probably the ocean. How do we center this one so you can actually see the image in the center? We can put there's many commands for this one. You can put center here, and you can see the center of the image. But again, Eduardo, I only see a big rock. I want to see the entire image. How do we adjust the image size, so the image size of the image, so it match the box size? And the answer is there is a one property called background position. I think it's background size, and you can use between contain. Contain will make the image and the same size, and if there is a space left, the image will be repeat. And if you use cover, that is the most common case scenario, it will try to fill the image even if it gets a little bit cropped on the top and on the bottom. So let me go back again to actually show the difference. If you use contain, the image will be displayed 100%. And if the box of the HTML tag is different in size than the image, then the image will get repeated a little bit. But if you use contain, cover. If you use cover, the image will expand to cover the entire area of the of the HTML tag, even if that means that the image will be a little bit cropped. So let me show you this. If we change the size of the box of the tag, you can see that if I become it bigger, if I make it even wider, it will crop the image a little bit more. So when to use this? Usually you use this one, the cover one, and try to make sure that the proportions of your box and the proportion of your image try to match. It's absolutely impossible to have the perfect scenario each time, but you try to have the best similar size as possible. So let's go back to the slides, and this will be general rules. Perfect.
Eduardo? I'll ask you a question. So, for example, the URL is now hard coded inside of the CSS. Is it possible to get the URL to be able to be changed inside of the index, and then you can use that same function on many images?
Sorry, can you go again? Sorry.
So the point is that now this is all coded on one image. Is it possible to make it more generic so that we can use that function on many different images?
Of course. Let me change this one
Could you show
from.
us?
Let me change this one from a tag call and to a class call. And let me say call QWERTY. To be honest, I lose totally my creativity. And now to this one, I will call this class. I'm sorry, class QWERTY. You gain the background, and this one as well. There you go. That's it.
No, so what I meant was that let's assume we have multiple images inside of an index.html, and now so I want to apply that same styling on several different images. That's what I'm trying to say. How would I do that? Do I have to put the URL into some sort of name and then call it back into the CSS? Or
Let me see if I understand. You want to use different images, multiple images as a background for a single element, or one different background for each dict tag?
So there's several images, and so then that same styling of that you're fitting into it. So how do we make it? Because now essentially it's applied to one image only, that particular style, right?
Oh, but okay, let me show you that you can actually use any image in the project, in the process. Let me find another image real quick on the internet, just to be sure that we are speaking about the same. Let me just give me 1 second. Let me look. By the way, this web page rocks if you want to find high quality images. It's called Unsplash. We're gonna use this one. I'm gonna download it. Let me put it in the project folder. As this will be called fonts. I will put it in my code samples. Code samples. We'll put it inside the. And let me open my little project here. Okay. So now in my image folder, I have the Catalina background and this. It's not a phone, it's a camera. I'm blind. Well, it doesn't matter. I will not change the name right now. I'm so lazy. And in the section, I will override the class and I will say background image, background URL, open parentheses, dot notation, remember image, and I will put the fonts. And remember, the class overrides the style, and I will just put a little bit of height here. Height. And there you go, you have two images. I still don't understand your question, but I want to be sure that you can put different images in classes. So can you go one more time? And if not, I will answer it after the class.
It's no, I think we're keeping people up, so let's continue afterwards.
Okay.
If that's better, cool.
So, okay, we saw the general rules, and now let's go to, we're about to finish, by the way. We're on the slide 36 of 41. We are gonna focus on font styling, the most common rules for handling text. The first one is color. Don't be confused with background color. In this example, the background color takes care of the blue that you can see in the image, and the color will take care of the text of the black text itself. So let's show that in a couple of seconds. The second one is font family to allows to change the fonts itself. So for example, if you don't want to use the generic Times New Roman, you can use Helvetica. You can even import fonts in your own project, and we're gonna see that as well. Font size, as the name says it, you just can make the font size bigger or smaller. Font styles takes care of the text in bold, italics, underline, etc., etc., etc. Quick detail, please don't use underline to highlight a word because people will think there is a link, a hyperlink, sorry, a hyperlink. So don't use the underline in web development. Finally, text transform, as the icon can see, shows, you can make the text, written in uppercase or lowercase using this property. And then text shadow. This is different from box shadow because let me show you the example real quick. I have actually written this one. If I run this example here, you can see that the box shadow Let me make the text bigger so you can see it. Perfect. You can see that the box shadow is affecting the box behind the HTML tag. And text shadow, on the other hand, is dropping a shadow behind each character of the text. So you can see the code here. In the HTML part, we have an H2, a heading 2 with the first class shadow 1, and a H2 with the shadow 2. And the shadow 1 is using box shadow, and the second one is using text shadow. Similar properties, totally different results. So something to have in mind. So let's do a quick example of the font styling. So let's call font styling CSS. Sorry, HTML. Sorry, my bad. Again, we're gonna use the template just because we're lazy. We're gonna call this font style. Perfect. Let me open it in this one with this plugin. There you go. It's empty, of course. It is. H1 font style. There you go. And I will gonna use a P as a guinea pig. And by the way, if you don't want to write text, just to make a quick example, in Visual Studio Code, if you write LO, there is a word called learning into that is a placeholder text. So I press enter, and we have a paragraph, something to fill spaces if you want to do something quick. And let's apply all the styles that we just mentioned today. First, color. And I will say color, red. Remember that we learned about the color that you can use either hex or RGB values, RGBA. I will make it red. No, I will make it blue this time. 0% of green, 100% blue. Because RGBA allows you to, as alpha, looks like it's purple, but no, it's not purple. It's just that the blue is semi-transparent and the white is making it look a little bit purple. And let me just put it. Oh, yeah, sorry, no. The reason that it looks purple, nice, that's a nice mistake. The RGB values don't go from 0 to 100. It goes to 255. So if I put 0.5 as I expected, it goes semi-transparent. So this is the first property, color. The second one is font family. You can see that the browser has a lot of predefined styles. Let me use this one that is quite tacky just so to make it look different. Congratulations, you have a different style. And you probably want to know how to use your own custom fonts. I will teach that right at the end. Don't worry, I have a slide just for that. Now let's go with font size. Font size is quite easy. You can either use the predefined keywords, large, or you just can send a size in pixels. Sorry, px. There you go, it's gigantic. I will put it in 18. I will change the impact font to something Arial because this one is quite different, difficult to. This one is quite difficult to visualize the next effects, so I will use Verdana. This one is more font family Verdana, and serif. Okay, let me just. I think I'm missing a. There you go. I'm missing a color. So the next style is font style. Font style, and you can see I can make it italic. I can make it bold. Font style. Hey. Bold style, normal, oblique. Okay, sorry. In this one is on. I will correct the slides. You can font styles allows you to change between normal or italics. If you want to make the font actually bold, there's another property. I forgot about that. Font weight. There you go. You have bold. So why these two properties are separate instead of one in single line? Again, I honestly don't know.
So what about M and strong? You can do this in HTML.
Yeah, good question. there was a tag called EM. Well, I will not work on this one. Let me use another. Let me use another P. This is why you actually use classes, because example, because each time I create a new P, it will inherit the same style. So I will put this one, class example. Perfect. And I will create a second, Lauren Insu. Lauren. What Christian is telling you about is about a tag called EM. This one actually put this one in an emphasis. It's in italics, and this one I will make it with strong. And I will explain what it is used for and why it generally is not used at all. So you can see that the AM is making italics for emphasis, and this one is adding a bold option. You can use these tags to imply that this is a keyword. That's the reason that you're putting in Word. And AM means emphasis, and emphasis means that if you are reading this text, for example, Lorem ipsum dolor, here the emphasis, sit amen, adis. No, I am totally botching the Latin, but this one is a keyword. I don't pronounce it louder. It just means that this is a key concept. That's the reason it's highlighted. And this one has a different pronunciation. Is the correct way to actually style the elements? Yeah, to be honest, yes, it is. Do you ever use see it? Quite unlikely, to be honest. People use spans to style. If you want to use the correct way, hey, bravo, to be honest. But to be honest, it's quite hard to see that. And the other method that is to use a span, like we used it before. For example, let me use the span here, right here. And tell that this span will become a class bold. And I write here dot bold, font weight bold is the most common way. To be honest, yes, you probably should use these ones, but I really didn't want to overload everybody with even more tags, because you can achieve the same effect with this one. And to be honest, it's basically the same. I really hate to contradict myself when yesterday was explaining how important it is to use the semantic tags, and I'm violating my own rule. But sometimes you need to make compromises when you have 2 days to teach about HTML and CSS instead of 1 year.
What's industry standard? Do you know?
To be honest, the standard, the span. I honestly, I barely see people actually writing this.
That feels so much longer to go through the whole like class, to creating a class. Interesting.
Yeah.
You put span class bold everywhere you want bold, and then you have it once. You have it declared once.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Ah.
I've read that one of the benefits of using like im strong is that it affects screen readers.
Exactly. That's why I was talking about semantics. That's important. No, and thank you so much, Armando, to remind me. Yeah, that's the reason I was talking about semantics yesterday. There is something important. The screen reader will not understand the span tag as a bold, as something that is a keyword. So thank you so much, Armando. This is the correct. This is why the tags exist. But again, the reason that I omitted is because if I choose to teach about, let me say, 4 tags, semantic tags, I prefer to teach about the navigation one, the article, the sections, because they control the entire layout of the web page. EM and strong has smaller chances. But trust me, if we have 1 month for front-end development, trust me that I will actually enforce you and actually grade you with least points if you don't use this one. But because we are super constrained in time, with all the decisions that I had to make, I needed to drop it out. But now that you mentioned it, I'm teaching them.
Cool.
So yeah.
We hold nothing against you. We know that you make the decisions that you make for the benefit of the class.
Yeah, it's trying to see, okay, in a perfect world, we would teach it 1 month, but look it up. We're going to have a 4-hour lectures today. So if I told you, remember, there is more than 200 HTML tags. If I try to force you to learn every single one, you will hate HTML and you will not do it that. I prefer to teach you the 30 that I consider that are the ones that you will use every single day. And then, of course, you have the resources to, you can look it up, these all remaining 170 tags that are still available. So yeah, we just saw the styling. I still missed you the font family, how to import fonts, and we're gonna teach that at the very end because that's more related to project management. So let's continue. And now we're talking about project management. We're about to finish, guys. 3 slides to go. We're gonna teach about 3 concepts. Number 1, CSS variables. What are CSS variables? Well, this one is actually variables just like Java. So you can define a value once and reutilize and call it again later. We're gonna use especially this for colors. We're gonna teach how to import fonts. We're gonna teach 2 ways. How to import files as a physical file, that is the less common way, and how to use Google Fonts, that to be honest is the most common way because nobody wants to pay fonts in the web. It's weird, people are cheapskates. And finally, we're gonna learn how to organize your projects into multiple CSS files. So let's get started. But first, let me see the chat if I'm missing something important. Give me 1 second. Okay, it looks like Yang Wei explained something to Lee. Thank you so much. We can check it out. That was what was that later. Let's create a new file just for the variables thingy. Let's go, new file. Let's call this project management. The reason I call it project management instead of CSS variables is because I want the same names to the slides, so you can actually look it up, these exercises in relation to the slides. So this one is project management. I copy this one again, H1. Project management. And let's go with the first one, CSS variables. Let's go with a typical scenario. You need to paint every single tag with the same color. Let me see it. For example, this one will be, we can use the Lorem Ipsum again. Perfect. We're gonna use an art small. I'm gonna use Lorem again. Perfect. And let me write here in style tag. Perfect. Now, we're gonna use orange in this example, but first let me open the example because we are not seeing the correct file. There you go, project management, and I can close it. So first, we're gonna change the text color of the H1 tag. Let me do H1, and I will say color. And let me copy this orange, this purple, for example. And we're gonna paint this one here. Let me close my graphic design software. Perfect. Now my color is the text color of the H1. In the paragraph, I want to change not the color of the text, but the box behind the tag. So I will use background color instead. Perfect. And for the small, I don't want to use the background or the color. I want to use the border. I want to add a big border to this one. So I will add like 8 pixels. It will be solid, and it will be purple again. Oh, okay. I remember that I think I need to do this on a P. So actually, we'll put it here, and this one will be the small one. I will explain what happened. Yeah. Remember that the span actually. 1 second. There you go. Remember that the span, as you can see on the background, and actually this is a nice example. If you put a border in the span, and let me put it right now because you actually need to see the difference. Border solid, 2px black, so you can see the difference. Oh no, 1 pixel, because otherwise you will not see the difference. There you go. In the P tag, there is a display block. You can see that the border goes around the entire box. But in the span element, you can see that the color, the background color, and the border goes around each word. So that's why you can see this looks like it was highlighted by the highlighter in the real life. And this one is a border around that. So that's when I put it 8 pixels, it looked funky because the border is so thick that it goes beyond the small boxes of the CSS part. So okay, we're gonna work like this. And actually, I like this setup. It's perfect for my example. And the client says, you know what? I like the page, but I don't want that purple. I want, I don't know, I want something like a baby blue. So you go to your graphic design software, you open it, create a new project. I have a couple of colors here. I want this color. Let me just break it down. Why I cannot select? The property. There you go. Let me copy it. I don't know what is happening. There you go. So I want a different color, and then you go here, save, and you go once again, and now imagine a project that doesn't have one single file, but a web page with seven pages, and you don't have 3 lines of CSS. You have 1,000 lines of CSS. And yes, I am not joking. You can reach that size quite easily. Imagine that you need to make these changes across all the pages. Imagine how annoying it is to look it up, the purple color over and over again. There should be a better way, right? And the answer is yes, you can create variables. How do you create a variable? Unfortunately, this is not Java, so you cannot create something like color, purple, equals, hashtag, blah, 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 blah. This is Java syntaxes. We don't roll like that here in the CSS world. We use a special wrapper called root, root with T. And this means that the content inside the root is going to be variables that are global. So let's make that. Let me see the syntaxes for the CSS variable. Let me close all these examples. CSS variable. So in the root, okay, we define it like this. Perfect. In the root, we create, we're gonna define this as a main color. Let me write, now that I saw the rule, I will put it like, for example, let's call it something that more semantic, brand color, because it's the color of the company. And the company changed the logo, and they're not purple anymore. They are now blue, and I don't remember the color in it right now. So let's go real quickly. Choose another color real quick. I want the purple one. There we go. We're gonna define this one. So brand color will become this one. Let me minimize the graphic design software. And there you go. We create a variable. And how do we call the variable in CSS? You probably think that it's just about to change it like that, but it doesn't work. Why not? Because for some reason, you need to call a function called var, and inside the function, you pass the parameter, the variable. So let's do that again here. I copy this one, I put it here. Sorry, let me delete the hashtag as well. There you go. There you go. And if the client says, no, we are changed once again, and we are now orange, and you say, oh, I don't care anymore, just use whatever color you want, bingo. You can use variables. As you can see, you can not only change you can use the variable anywhere. In this case, you can use the variable anywhere that you can apply a color. So you can use the same variables for text color, border color, and background color. Let me delete this border here so you don't get confused. So that's nice. You can do the same for font sizes. So for example, if you want a list item, a UL list with a font size of 18, and then the UL list as well with this font size of 18, and then the client says, no, I don't want 18 anymore, I want 25. You can do a variable for the text size as well. So let me do it. Let me do it just so you can see the different example. So you can see that you can apply it for size. Let me call font size. I will call it 15 pixels. And let me change it on the H1. Perfect. Font size. And I will pass a variable. And I will pass font size. And now your H1 becomes super small. And remember, you can apply basically this one everywhere, including on a small. So font size. There you go, same size. There you go. So this is fun. This is the first one in project management. A CSS project will not have color values here at all. It will have a bunch of variables here, so you can make changes globally. You can actually create a variable for the border. Imagine that for some reason the design guidelines of this company says that each border should be always super thick. So you can create a variable here, border size. So each time that you apply a border, it has the same size, and so on and so forth. Basically, I think that any property can be created like this. So now let's go to import fonts. The most popular way to use fonts on the web is use something called Google Fonts. And it's quite easy, to be honest, Google Fonts. Let me put it full screen so you can actually see it better. So this is Google Fonts. It's a resource of high quality, free fonts. Just to make it quickly, let's use this one, for example. To be honest, I don't have a personal preference in which one I'm using. I just want to do something quick. I'm gonna select this style. This one is called medium 500. Okay. I'm gonna use the regular one, regular 400, and I choose also one super bold for my titles, the black one. I want to skip one. I just want to see the example, the normal one and the black one. So you have it here. And now you click on embed, and you can see that there is two ways to apply the font. You can use the link tag, or you can use import inside the CSS. Which way is better? No, it's equally the same. You can use whatever you want. I will use CSS because we are talking about more CSS about than HTML. But don't worry, you use the link tag. I don't care. It's honestly it's exactly the same. But because we are talking about today about CSS, I will use this method. So I have the import URL, and if I go to my project, nothing happened. It's the same one. I will still have it. We need to tell the machine, hey, use the rule. And how do we do it? With font family. So we're gonna use in the title font family. And the change becomes a little bit bolder. Let me see if I can change just 1 second. In the entire project, I will put in the body. In the body, I will put the color red to be sure that everything is changing. Font family. I will use something, some Verdana font. Font family, Verdana. Perfect. Now we know that everything in the project is Verdana, and this one is Verdana as well. And let me just change the color here. I don't want this. I don't want this color red. My mouse is not working. So we know that we are using Verdana as a text, but I want to make the H1 use the new font that we just downloaded from the internet. And we're gonna use the same only for the small one. So font family as well. And there you go. And that's how you import fonts using Google Fonts. If you want to import fonts from your project, it's a little bit more trickier, but we can see it as well. Don't worry. Let me find a font quickly from my computer. Mac. Let me see if I have a nice font that we can use. I think I have this one. Let me see. Title sans, bold, text bold. Okay. I wanna copy a font from my hard drive. I'm putting the fonts inside my folder right now. Fonts. I'm gonna put this one. So perfect. Now I create a folder. You can see I create a new folder. I have a folder for the CSS, and this is part of project management, guys. This is super important. Put your styles inside a CSS folder. Put your fonts inside a fonts folder, and put your images inside a fonts folder. Please, for the love of God, don't do that. This is so messy because when the project grows bigger, you don't know where the hell are the files. So please be organized. And something as stupid as creating folders for each kind of file means a lot. And let me tell you something. Recruiters do take notice of this. They don't tell you, but they literally, when you're in the interview, they see your code and they're taking notes. This is the kind of note that they take about. If they see you as a messy coder, you can be the most important, the most amazing coder. You can create algorithms. You can actually handle the recursion and the linked list like easy peasy. But if the recruiter didn't ask about recursion and linked list, and they see a project disorganized, they want to think that you're a rookie, even if you're super smart and have a 200 IQ and you can make the most complex algorithms. If they see the project disorganized, you will be having a big time problem trying to get a job in that particular company. So be organized and create files for each kind. Now I have the font, but I don't see the font. How do I do it? Maybe I can just use font family and that's it. No, we need to import the font, and let's see how to do import font. This is a more tricky process, but font face rule is this one in particular. We're gonna create this one. Let me put this one. Let me put a comment here. Is a font imported from the web. From the web, I will put it as a comment. Now, always use comments as well, so we can know which ones are each one. And this one is a font inside my project. Perfect. So I use this rule, font face, and I will get a name. This is the name. Is similar to the variable name. Is the name that I will use for identifying my font. So I will call this one my folder font. So you know that I'm referring to the one over here. And actually, by the way, this font is actually called Untitled Sans. It's not a mistake. This is called. I know which name we can use for easy identification. Is SDA brand font. Because this is the font that we use in the SDA. SDA brand font. Perfect. And then I need a URL. So again, dot notation, fonts/untitled sans. There you go. Let me go to this one. And nothing is happening because we need to call again font family. And we're gonna do it on the paragraph, font family. And inside, it actually changed to the other one, the imported one. But this one, if everything goes well, and please work. I think I need to put this one in Oh, there you go. It worked. Nice on the first try. So this is the font size that you actually see when I open the SDA platform. I go to the learn more, no, login. It's this one, the title font of the SDA. It's called Untitled Sans. So there you go. This is how you import fonts from the web. This is how you import them from your project. And this is how you call how to assign an imported font, no matter how you import it, because the same rule font family works for the external imports and for the internal imports. So perfect. Now we have some comments. Let me put the comment here as well. Let me go back to the slides. We covered CSS variables, we covered import fonts, and now we are going to use the import rule again to import CSS into another CSS file. First, before we go to the exercise, what do I mean by this? Remember that I was telling you all about this during these hours, that and I'm not joking, by the way, you can write 1,000 lines of CSS code for real for one single project. That's really common, because as you can see, just to make a small example, you need to write a lot of properties. For example, if you want to make this slide in CSS, first you need to tell the body background color light gray. Then you need to add the rules to import the SDA font. Then you need to tell that the H1, where it says project management, is color white. Then you need to tell the second H2 tips to organize it's uppercase and blah, blah, blah. And you can see that making the most smaller of these designs, like the one that you can see on the screen, I know this is Keynotes, but you can replicate the same in the web part with CSS, will take you 40 lines of code, maybe. I am not joking. So it's quite common that you can reach the 1,000 lines of code if you make a big project. So you can imagine if you put everything in a single file, it will be a fucking disaster. So how do you organize the code? You can import, you can break it down, your CSS, into multiple files. So let me show you how I did it in the CV project. So let me open the CV project just 1 second. And by the way, I think for tomorrow, we're going to do the step-by-step of the CV. I think that you have enough knowledge to actually start trying to do it on your own today. And tomorrow, if you don't finish, I will do the walkthrough. So, but right now, let me go with the CV. This one, the one that we were making yesterday. No, but we are going to open the real finished one. So we are going into the depth, WB module. This is the training wheels that you saw. This is the project that we're making. And there is these projects, which are your evaluation projects. I will not even show the names right now. We are on full screen. Perfect. Remember, because this project is in Firebase, we have a public folder, but we focus only on this one. And you can see something about, let me open this one on the side again, like server. Let me make this as small as possible. There you go. This is how it looks. Let me enter responsive design mode so you can see it as how it looks in an iPhone. One single column, perfect. So let's see. We have the training wheels. I can turn it on just 1 second so you can see how the project will look. We see the blocks. We have the CSS. Without CSS looks, this is how you have it right now in your project with the CSS. And these are the Google fonts. Remember that we were using the add import rule the other way. Last year I used the link one, and I lose the fonts here. So there you go. By the way, I think I have this font installed in my computer. That's the reason I still see it. But anyways, I have the fonts here. Let's see, we have one single CSS file, but you just told us that we're supposed to have multiple files. So what is going on? Simple. You can see that I'm importing ./CSS/CSS.css. I can follow the link, I can click it, and I open the file. And what I just did is go to this folder, and I see a bunch of files, but it's opening style. And let me open style and see what is happening. Style doesn't have any code of CSS. It only has import files. So you can see import, variables. So the variables that we were talking about are in one file. There is one file for called share. Share means that everything that is global or is used across the entire web page is inside this one. There is one CSS file only for the introduction, so only for this particular part. There is one file for the content that goes from here until here. Because these two are actually quite similar, they can share a file. If they were super, mega, ultra different, I probably will have one for work experience and one file for education. So, but this is not the case. And then the contact that is different enough has its own CSS. Because we already know a little bit about CSS, we can enter the files and start seeing a little bit of the CSS and are trying to understand it as we go. So for example, you can see that the dot notation, it means there is a, let me put this one here, let me close this one, let me close it. I will put the index, the HTML file next to the CSS. And I will try to expand this as much as possible. And let me see if I can hide the minimap, view minimap, show my minimap. Perfect, now we have a little bit more space. So we have the introduction class, you can see. Let me close these ones. Let me close everything so we can focus only on the introduction. So you can see that the header is called a class introduction. So we are adding this property. We are adding the max width, font size, margin bottom, and we are calling a variable in the margin bottom. Remember that we saw that. We're going to do the work-through tomorrow, don't worry. This is just, the intention is that you try to accomplish as much as possible today in the CV. If not, we go to tomorrow with the solutions. And then inside introduction, there is something called the personal info. What is the personal info? The personal info is this part. And why I added, let me activate the training wheels right now so you can see a little bit better what I'm talking about. You can see that there is a div around the picture and around this part. Why did I put a div inside this part? It's because I wanted to align the center part. If I remove this line, you can see that this part is aligned to the left, this part is aligned to the left, this part is aligned to the left. But if I put align, text align center here in the introduction, text align center, it doesn't work because I have a text align center around here as well. But if I want to only add the center to this particular part, I need to put it here, text align center. So this will align only the div called personal info. This one is the div personal info. And this one doesn't get override with the text align center. Perfect.
Sorry, is the goal that we try and make ours look exactly like yours, or is the goal that we try and make ours look good? Because I mean, like, to get it looking exactly like yours would be impossible unless you gave us the explicit instructions of.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. So yeah, try to make it look as nice as possible using Google Fonts. Yeah, nice question. Yeah, and then we go tomorrow step by step in the coding session, so we can see how it works. Okay. But anyways, if I change, for example, if I disable the training wheels, 1 second, training wheels, and I add here in the, remember that there is a media query as well here. If I add the background color here, background color, red, it only affects elements that are inside here in the introduction. By the way, this says introduction P. That's why if I put introduction, period, it affects the entire. So let me show you the one that I was making a couple of seconds ago. Center. Everything is center. Everything is centered, but I want only to make this part center, and this one I wanted to align to the left. So to achieve that effect, that's why I put it a div around this part, and inside the div, I put the text align center. Just let me go back all the way. Perfect. So this one covers only this part. Now for the other file, the content, you can see that we are styling the UL, and the URL is for this list. So I reducing this. I reducing the padding left. Remember, the padding left push the box from here to here. So I'm creating this space, and then I'm telling that the bullets should be square instead of a normal circle. I'm making the grid column display grid. I'm making columns. I'm saying that if there is a tablet, I miss a comment here. I should probably put a comment. For a tablet, I have 2 columns, and for a desktop, I have 3. So let me see how it goes. Let me remove the experimental mode, design mode. So I have 2 colors here, and here it becomes 3, thanks to display grid. In the shared ones, what do we have in the shared ones? Because the entire page has the same style of test. So I apply the tag. Oh, by the way, this is a nice trick that I forgot about to tell you. If you want to apply the same style to multiple tags, you can use a comma to tell H1 has this style, H2 also have this style, and H3 also have this style. And then I want to make particular changes to H1. I write again H1, and this one only affects the H1. This one affects the 3, and this one only affects the H1. This one only affects H2. This one only affects H3. This affects paragraph. This is a design for the horizontal rule, and I'm importing the font here. We're going to see this property tomorrow because we're out of time. We're going to see the difference between grid and what max width tomorrow as well. And then padding, as you can see, I'm adding full variables, so you can put more than 1 variable per element. And the subtitle has a styling as well, and so on and so forth. And let's see the most interesting one, variables. You can see that I'm defining spaces. So that's the reason that I cannot say it is pretty or bad or ugly is beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But the reason that you can see at least an harmony in the spaces is because I'm using multiple of, you can see the angle 4, 8, 16, 24. I'm duplicating. So first I'm using 4, then I multiply by 2, then I multiply by 2. Then because going 32 is too much, I added 8. And then to make the even bigger, I multiply by 2. So I have a multiple of 8 and a scale of measure of multiple of 8, and 4 will be divided by 2. So that's the reason that you see all the spaces quite well organized is because I'm using this kind of stuff. And as I told you, I don't put values in my CSS. I'm trying to use as much variables as possible. For example, this one is for the font sizes, but for the margins, all the margins are using variables. So at least this part is quite well organized. We're gonna see that one tomorrow, starting tomorrow, because the walkthrough will be, the live coding session is probably 1 hour. And in that one, we are gonna see how to organize the project while we are building it. But at least you already know how to import files. You go to the style, and basically you're using the node notation. Remember, let me write this one, for example. I'll delete this one. And you see, oh, you can see how ugly it looks without margins. So let me import the file. You know that the file is inside the CSS folder, so I just create import dot notation, remember, and I call the file variables CSS. Some reason some weird code appear here. Let me clean it up. Is well organized? Yeah, it's variable. Okay, let me close the file and open it again because something messed up. Yeah, really, something really messed up. Let me see just 1 second.
You removed the shared.
Which one?
The shared.css.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, yes, that went to the next line. Okay, you're right. Okay, because I'm missing the. Okay, now this is another gotcha that I see. If I save the document right now without putting a comma, Visual Studio thinks that this is one line and it's doing that. So remember to finish your commas. And there you go. You have the variables again. So okay, we went again over by half an hour. So we're gonna stop for today. We're gonna do the live code session tomorrow. We're actually quite well on time, by the way. Remember that we have 2 days on buffer. So yeah, and tomorrow in JavaScript, we don't need 3 days for JavaScript. We need only 2 because Kavena took care of a lot of CSS JavaScript concepts. So well, this icon is for let's try this in real code, but we are totally out of time. What to do next? Required reading for today. Read the required lecture called Atomic Design. It's in the recommended files in the platform. There is a video about Flexbox. There is one video about this one guy of Flexbox in CSS tricks. This is the one that I was showing you guys before the first break. Just Google it. You will be able to find it. Remember, it's the one that uses purple and orange. There is no way around to lose it. There is one video on the platform called CSS Grid in 1 second, and there is one nice video called One Line Layout video. This one is super important, but you need to read the content here before, especially points number 2 to number 4, before you understand this one. This one will teach you how to make nice layouts using CSS Grid, Flexbox, and you will see how easy it is to do layouts right now in CSS. Okay, because we near finished the live code session, I will not expect. I will actually make. Okay, no, let's fix this so there's no confusion. Let's move this one for tomorrow, for Wednesday, May 28. So if you reload your slides in the platform, that's the reason I didn't use it as a PDF. If you reload your slides, you will see the Wednesday 28. And let me fix the deadline here. Wednesday 28. And I will say this time 17 hours. Just 1 second.
So tomorrow we're going to be doing live coding, taking your old CV file, your old index file,
exactly,
all the way where it looks now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, just checking because again, yeah, same thing as I said earlier. It's going to be really hard to replicate it.
Yeah,
Just
don't worry.
Yeah.
For now, practice as much as you can. Well, tomorrow's the deadline at 5 o'clock because you can start in right now. You can already know how to import fonts, how to make column layouts, etc., etc. These videos are going to be uploaded quite soon. So you cannot make it 100% equal, but you can start making a lot of the design choices right now with all the knowledge that you have. So you can start now. So don't start from scratch tomorrow. Try to do as much as possible today, so you can finish on time. And remember, Firebase is not necessary. And because we're gonna push the lectures as well, tomorrow we're gonna do the first optional lecture about user interface design, because I really want to finish the CV before you enter the lecture. So yeah, that will be all for today. I'm gonna upload this video as soon as possible, and see you around in the Slack channel.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eduardo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.